never allowed myself to be discouraged. And I've never allowed myself to say, hey, it's time to get out and quit.
Nice and easy.
Oh yeah, but we always say that, and I'm very quick to confess, this is not a scientific methodology. Believe me, it is not. But a lot of people don't understand nitrogen and phosphorus and the eutrophication and the algae, and they don't understand that when you try to explain that to them. But when you wade out in that river and they look down, can't see their feet, the river's dirty, just that simple. And that's the message we're trying to send. It's a good life. The air was so pure then, and the water so pristine, and you just felt like you were wandering around in paradise compared to today. I never really wanted to be a politician. My dad said to me one time, he said, you know, people like you, you're personable, and you ought to really think about getting into public life. I've had a number of the leaders tell me that ought to coach you to do that. And I said, Dad, there's two things I don't really want to do. I don't ever want to be a politician, and I don't ever want to sell whiskey for a living. I just think it's a drag. And the latter I did stick to. I never sold any liquor. I broke my promise, and I did for a good reason. We had several things going on here at that time. But one thing we noticed, the river, that was important. We noticed the river, the water was getting cloudy. We knew something was wrong with the river, but we didn't know what it was. And Tom Wisner was a dear friend. He died a couple years ago. We called him the Bard of the Chesapeake. But he said to me one time, I've heard you say it over and over again, how you could wade out in the river and look down and see your feet, see your toes clearly, because most of the time I was barefooted. And he said, you know one thing? You ought to do that. You ought to do that now. Just get a few of us together. Let's make it an annual ritual. Wade out in that river. People will get the message, Bernie. I'm telling you, they'll get the message. And that's how we got started. Lo and behold, here comes the newspapers. Click, 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 all these nice pictures and everything, good write-ups. And in those days, the newspaper was that was the thing. You know, computers hadn't showed their face yet. So we began to pick up steam, and we have had, Andy, as many as 450 people at that wade. And these are the sneakers that I wade in every year and have since 1988. I bought them new for that particular purpose because this is the kind of shoes that we wore back when I was a kid, when we were crabbing and all. To think that you spend 42 years of your life into something that you love, that's in your blood. That old Patuxent water is in my blood, you know, it's there, my family's blood. And then at the end of the line, you suddenly realize we haven't made much progress. That's not true. We have stopped it from dying. We've stopped it from dying. Had the work not been done by the brave souls that helped to do it, we would have had tributaries that you couldn't wade in. Well, I worry about it because I got grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and you have people. And I think that we'd be cowards if we didn't continue on. And have all these people say, and I've had some naysayers tell me to my face, it isn't worth cleaning the bay up. How do you know? You don't know anything about the bay. Let me take you back 50 or 60 years to where you had a reason to do it. And I've never allowed myself to be discouraged. And I've never allowed myself to say, hey, it's time to get out and quit. There'll come a time, physically, maybe even mentally, when I'm not able to do this. But until that time arrives, there's not going to be any surrender. I will not relent. I will not give up.